Hi everybody, what we're going to do now is restore this image, and this is a shot of a girl I knew in high school, and that was in 1970. That's how old this picture is. And I found it at the bottom of a box, and the termites had gotten to it and almost destroyed it, but there was enough there that I thought it was worth trying to save. So what I'm going to do is take you through the process that's going to take our image from this terrible thing to this right here, which it's not perfect, but it's vastly improved. So let's go ahead and get out of Bridge and go into Photoshop to begin our work. And again, this is the finished product after we work this image. So let's go ahead and start. What we're going to do is do the big stuff first, and that's obvious. And we're going to use the clone stamp tool a lot in this process. Probably the clone stamp tool and the spot healing brush will be the two most used tools on this process. So let's go ahead and start, and we'll click on the clone stamp tool. And if you've not used the clone stamp tool, then what we do is come into the image, and I'm going to increase the size of the brush, as you can see here by using the right bracket key. And the basic way it works is you hold down the Alt or Option key, click, and that's your sample, and then you're going to move your brush to another location, and when you click, you can see the crosshatch in relation to the brush. All right, watch this. As we go down, the brush moves. So it's resampling from one location and depositing it on another location, and we're going to do a whole lot of that in this process. And you're constantly resampling in relation to where the brush is, because you are moving and you want to accomplish different things. You're going to zoom in. For instance, we're going to get rid of this seam. I'm going to come in here and just get rid of that seam. Okay, and one thing I forgot to do, let's go ahead and crop this image, because that's going to reduce our workload, and I think it's going to make it a more aesthetic image. So simply from a portraiture compositional standpoint, I want to crop this just like this. This shot was taken in a movie theater, believe it or not. And about 11 o'clock in the morning, they were just getting started, and then the side door was open, and we went in, and I noticed the light, and I said, sit down, and I took about 15 shots of her, and this was during film days. And so this is on Tri-X. And this is the actual print that I did in high school, and you can see why it's destroyed. I'm looking for the negative, but this is what we have. So let's go ahead and finish. You'll notice it's obviously going to reduce our workload. Let's go back to the clone stamp tool. Click on here. We're going to sample from this side and take it over to this side. We got to clean this area up. And I'm watching that crosshatch. I want to know where that crosshatch is, because that's what's being sampled from. And if it gets into areas that I don't want to sample from, then I need to resample. So like that. As I come down low, I was going to be running into her arm, and I didn't want her arm to be on the right side of the image for obvious reasons. And I'm coming in close, so I need to reposition. And I'm just going to do see, just like that, like what I didn't want to do. So click on this, come over here, start again. Reduce the size just a bit. Come over here. And I'll do all this up close later. Okay, I'll start taking from this side and come across. You see where that crosshatch got to the edge of the image? It deposited that edge, and it looks bad, so you got to resample. It's constant hunt and peck, hunt and peck. When you're trying to take care of large areas is when it gets frustrating, because you just don't have that much room to move. Sometimes you do, most of the time you don't. And this is our first salvo at this image, and we're going to refine everything we've just done. We're going to refine it later. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, looks pretty good, we're making progress, and that is true, but watch this. Now, this is an extremely high resolution scan, and I did that on purpose because I really wanted to get up close into this thing and make it as perfect as I possibly could. But I think enough is too much. All right, so let's navigate over here and work on this area. And again, we're going to use the clone stamp tool. Obviously, we're going to make the brush much smaller. And we're going to come in, sample from here, and we're going to do this. And then we're going to resample from here and start in from the other side. Because we have tonality we have to match. See how it's out of... Okay, this is not working, so I'm going to back this up, and I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. I think that's going to work a lot better. Let me make it just a little bit bigger. Ah, yes, a much better result, no doubt. So we'll use this and come in and get rid of these little white dots. See if that'll work. Yep. Perfect. Let's see. I'll come down here. Let me make it even bigger. You don't want to drag this because sometimes the result is not real good. You always want to hunt and peck. The spot removal tool. And then pretty soon you won't be getting the result that you're looking for, so you're going to have to go back to the clone stamp tool, but this is kind of a shortcut for where you are now in the process. It doesn't work in every single instance, like right here. We can clean all this up later. Doesn't look perfect, so we can go back to it. I'm just trying to get the big stuff right now. I think we're going to have to go back to the clone stamp tool, see what we can accomplish. Okay, now the problem you have is this line. Let me get the move tool here. Is this line. See this right here all the way across, like it curves around like this. In some places you can barely see it, but when we get down here, see, we're going to be dealing with this curve, the curvature of the arm, just like this, and we have to get rid of these white blotches right here. I'm going to do a little bit of that as much as I possibly can with the clone stamp tool, but there's still going to be a point at which I'm going to have to use the clone stamp tool to take care of this. So let's go ahead and start. Clone stamp tool over here. I'm going to sample from right here, and you just come in and just get as close to it as I can. I'm not going to get it, completely cure it, but I'll get down there as close as I can. Same thing over here. Just going to whittle this down to a manageable area. And then I want to take this little area out right there. Get rid of our discoloration. All right, let's take a look at the image and see what we've done so far, and we can go back to this area later. Let's go ahead and take these big stripes out right here. I'm going to increase the size of the brush. We're going to sample from here. We're going to take these marks out, whatever those are. And then we have the problem is that we're getting close to her hair. I certainly don't want to get rid of any hair. So let's get in close and let's use the spot healing brush. And this is painstaking. I know it is, but it's worth saving what little we have of her hair. You're not going to be able to save all of her hair, but what little there is, I would like to try to put a effort in the retaining. As we'll see in a minute where that's going to largely disappear. All right, so let's just try to do this. That works. All right, then we come over. Let's see if that works. Sometimes when you cover large areas with a spot healing brush, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You just trial and error. You can never predict when it's going to. Just when you think you've learned the way it works. There you go. That's pretty good. And let's see what we got. I don't think this is going to work, so. Well, stand corrected. All right. All right, we'll take a look. That's looking a lot better. I like to work on different areas of the image from time to time. So let's now go back to that left elbow of hers and clean that up. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take from this area right here and we're going to do a skin graft over here. So watch how this works. All right, what we are going to do is come and get the lasso tool. And then I'm going to back out just a little bit here so I can have some room to work. All right, and then I'm going to take a sample from right here. Selection, rather. All right, now we're going to our layer stack. I'm going to hit Command-J or Control-J to create another layer. Now I'm going to come up to Edit, Transform, and Rotate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this, and we're going to move it up here. We're going to turn it some more. We're going to move it up here, rotate it, and pull it down. And we'll make gross adjustments on the color mismatch later, but for now we're just trying to get that darker area matched up. And I think we need to come in just a little more, maybe rotate it less. Well, let me go ahead and hit that and see what it does. I can always back out and start over. Okay, that's not gonna work. All right, so let's take it again. We'll come up to Edit, Transform, Rotate. We're gonna turn it just a little like that and then push it out just a little bit more like, oh, that's perfect. Okay, now we got it. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust. Let's go ahead and put a mask on it. All right, so let's put a mask on it. We'll go get our brush. Okay. See, the reason I should have done this with masking is because I can do this right here. I can put this back up and continue to gradually ease this part back in. Now I'm going to reduce the flow. And we're going to blend that out. Okay. So we're going to have to take care of that little area right there just in a slightly different way. So let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and flatten the image. Now we're going to create two copy layers. I'm going to choose the middle layer, disconnect the top layer. Now I'm going to get the clone stamp tool, reduce the size of the brush. I'm going to come in from right here. And then here, see how we're going to come in real tight and get rid of that little white area there. Let's clean this up. It's amazing what you can see when you zoom back out. Now we're going to take care of this little area right here. And I think we just sample from here. It's not quite as bad as the other one was. So we could We can wing it. Over here. Now, I'm going to sample from here. Come over and just ease this line. Just try to even that up just ever so slightly. So we've got a nice even flow in that arc. All right, here we go. Much better. Much, much, much better. Now let's take a look and see what we got. Okay, we've got an improvement. I want to do some more work over here, so I'm going to increase the size of the brush. And let's refine this little area right here and take out some of that glow that was there. We've done some work over here, so I want to even this area. These are the big things that I see. Okay. All right, not bad so far. All right, let's go ahead and delete this upper layer right here. We don't need it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to convert this image to black and white. And that helps it immensely. Hit OK. We got black and white. And we're going to come up to the image, adjustments, curves, and not yet. Okay, let's make a copy layer of the middle layer. Now we got two layers over here that are black and white. I'm going to take the top layer, then I'm going to come up to image, adjustments, curves, and you can see how our curve looks. Now look right here at the gap that you have between the 255 and what's probably what? I don't know what that is, probably 220, 230, somewhere in there. So you take this and you move it back, and look what you've done. I mean, that is so huge. That one little move right there did so much. And you can bring this in even further. And what this does also is gets rid of a lot of the dust that you have. And I did not clean the surface of my scanner, so I probably made more problems for myself than I could have. I should have cleaned the image and cleaned the glass, and I did not do that. So that's what happens when you get in a hurry with your scans. But what I want to do is I want to return the softness of the transitions if I can. All right, so what I'm going to do is come up to image, adjustments, curves on that middle layer, and instead of bringing in this bottom, I'm just going to bring the middle and bring that down. And that darkens those transitional areas, but it also gives me the dynamic range through the progression, if that's making any sense to you. All right, so if I click on the top layer, reactivate it, then come in with a mask, get my brush. I want flow at about, let's even less. Let's go to about 4% because I really want this to be a gradual adjustment. So I'm going to come up here and go like this. And I'm just gradually bringing in these little areas right here that reduce the contrast in the face. I like that softer look in the face. Well, this is all relative, okay? This is a scan of triax from an image that's been sitting in a box for many, many years. Okay, let's try a little, getting some of the stuff back on the arms right here. It's a very gradual adjustment. You're not even going to see it as it's happening, but a before and after. And you can see how much of the mask that I'm getting rid of, so you know it's happening. So I'm really retaining that transition. It's not quite as cold. The contrast in the face is not quite as cold as it once was. Okay, and that's a good thing. All right, now we're making some progress on this. Let's go ahead and flatten this because I want to work on that hair just a little bit. And we're going to, again, establish two copy layers. I'm going to click the middle layer, disconnect the top layer. I'm going to come up to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and we're going to go into Camera Raw, see if we can bring out just a little bit of the detail in that hair. I'm going to take the clarity slider. I'm going to go like that, and I dare not go any more. dare not take it a step further, because all I'm going to do is accentuate all that dust that I should have gotten rid of to begin with. So what I'm going to do is come up to the top layer, activate it, go get my mask. I'm going to come in at 100%. And then maybe you come out just a little bit. And I'm going to just click on this area and just see what happens. See if I get a little more of the hair, which I do, but also get that little white glow in there. That's a telltale sign that something ain't right. I'm losing the contrast. So let's come down here. This all made me a bunch of nothing, but you know, just any ability to retain some of that detail that was in the original, you should take a stab at it. At least see if you can do it. If you can't, then you can't, but at least try. I don't think it was worth the effort. Yeah, it wasn't worth the effort. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. Let's go ahead and flatten the image. Take a look, and now we're going to do some refining. The basics are done. Now all we have to do is really just, as I said, we're going to work on detail now, and this is a very laborious process. This is the part where you're going to start thinking about doing something else. But if you really want this image to look good, which is what I want to do, then this is what you're going to have to do. So anyway, let's go to 100%, and let's get rid of this little blotch right here. Okay, from here on, we're probably going to be using the spot healing brush from this point forward. So let's go ahead and just dive in. And we're hunting and pecking. Let's get rid of that little mole right there. And this spot healing brush is a thing of wonder. It really was probably one of the best improvements that Adobe has ever made to Photoshop, I think. And this is probably a dimple on her face, so I'm doing facial reconstruction too. All right, so the face is good. We got some areas out here. Let's get rid of those. We've got this line going across. See that scratch mark in the emulsion? I'm going to hunt and peck this one over here because the shading is very, very important to retain. But now that I'm out here, I can go like that. It'll work. All right, now I got to start hunt and peck again. Go out here. And then come across, get the clone stamp tool. Make it real small. And we're going to sample from here and come down and lay that in right there. And then down here on the arm, there's another scratch. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And again, we'll get the spot healing brush. And just, yeah, that works. And let's hunt and peck. Or maybe we can draw a line. Let's see what happens. Now we get the clone stamp tool. See, we're going back and forth. Perfect. All right, now we get the spot healing brush. And from now on, it's just hunt and peck. Just getting rid of imperfections where you see them, a lot of dust removal. God knows what that is, but let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of this. This is also dust. And you know what's funny is that people spend a lot of money on special effects in On1 and Nik software to duplicate this kind of damage to an image. Here we are trying to get rid of it. It's fun though. It's enjoyable to see this image come back to life the way I remember it in the darkroom when I did it many, many, many years ago. All right, we can improve on this area too. Let's back out some, and we'll come get the clone stamp tool. And I want to do flow down around 10%. Increase the size of the brush, and let's gradually bring this in. I don't think we need it this big, though. There you go. See how that transition is? We're keeping that transition. There's not an abrupt line that goes from the arm to the shading. Okay, and that's a very good thing. All right, so we've taken care of that. Let's work on this area in the arm right here. Let's reduce the size just a little bit, and then we'll come around and we'll take a sample from here. We're just gonna bring it down. We don't want to get rid of it completely. You see what adjusting the flow does? It makes the effect gradual. Perfect. All right, now let's look at it. Now it's coming up. Now it's coming up. We got a little work to do right here, but I think we're in good shape overall. Let's go ahead and take a look. And thought about sharpening, but I don't think that's what I want to do. I'm thinking it'll make the image look really weird. But you can sit here all day and henpeck these little dust areas. You know, every one you get rid of improves the image, so it's just a matter of how much work you want to put into it. Just get the big ones. Like get these. Lord knows we put enough work on her left elbow. And as I look at this, it's not perfect, but oh well. Like I say, we're not going to make it perfect, but we definitely improved it considerably. And this is pretty much the way I remember this image in the dark rooms. Get rid of this little area, this little thing here, these two big ones. Looks like she's looking right at those dust spots. She's looking out the door of a movie theater in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. There's Karen. What do you think? And a fully restored black and white image.